Won't somebody think of the children? Right, this whole Ukraine disaster, war, is just getting crazier and crazier, and it's causing all kinds of problems. I don't mean just for the obvious people involved and the people who are connected to it, the people who are involved in it, the people who are caught up in it over there. I mean, for people, the thing is rippled out. It's all over Europe now, including here in Ireland, and there has been an absolute deluge, an outpouring, as I mentioned in a previous video, of virtue signalling, and the thing just doesn't seem to have any bounds, any attachment to reality, any attachment to resources, any attachment to what can be done, what's logically can be achieved with the resources at hand. It just seems to be, no, just say anything, do anything. If it sounds good, then that's good enough. Do it and we'll figure it out later. That seems to be more and more what I'm seeing, both from our politicians and from various people in the upper echelon, say, of society, people in charities, people in NGOs. It just seems to be a headlong rush, a headlong chaotic charge into everything and anything. As I said, people are saying and doing things that make no real sense and are likely to cause more problems down the line than where we started. When perhaps, if cooler heads, if more logical approaches were taken, maybe a better result could be achieved in a better structured way. But unfortunately, what I'm seeing pretty much every day now from here in Ireland is just ever more shrill and crazy stunts, all to get a headline, all to get retweets, all to get more exposure on social media. And it's all couched in this, but we have to do everything we can. We have to do anything we can. Now, okay, look, I'm with you there. Yeah, I buy that. I'll buy that. We have to do everything we can. We have to do as much as we can. And we should spare no expense within the bounds of reality. It's my argument. Within the bounds of what is achievable. What is the best plan to solve issues. Not just some, oh, here's a sound bite that sounds amazing, therefore, ergo, let's just do it. And unfortunately, as far as I can see this, there's just way too much of that. I'm sorry, there's just way too much of that. Now, I don't want to come across as hard and unfeeling and unsympathetic, because I am sympathetic, and I know people there. I actually physically know people there. And it's a horrendous situation, and I get that. I do get that. And I also know, let's be honest, I also know that the whole western part of Ukraine is untouched. It's not part of the whole thing. It's all in the east. Anyway, look, I'm not going to get bogged down in all of that. Let's jump on over here to a story that I saw popping up, and this is from the Irish Times. Popped up in a couple of places. Right. Here's what I mean, you can tear me to shreds over this if you want. I don't mind. I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm just for logic and reason and common sense. That's all I'm for. That's all I'm for, and that's all I ask for. Fairness, equality, common sense. It seems to be an ever shortening supply these days in modern society. Anyway, look, let's have a look at this. Mayo Charity, from the Irish Times. Yes, who wrote this? We have Jack Power. All right, Jack. Mayo Charity brings in 91 Chernobyl children to Ireland. Okay, you might think, all right, good for them. More than half of the children fleeing Ukraine are unaccompanied minors. Just kids. All right. Okay. Fair enough. Right. Let's see what's going on with this story. So I know what you're thinking. Oh, but you're great. That's good, is what you're thinking. Right. And I get that. I'm not saying, we shouldn't help anybody we can help in any way we can. But let's just pick this apart a little bit. Just a little bit. Bear with me. A small County Mayo charity has brought more than 90 Ukrainian children living near Chernobyl to Ireland to escape the war. Good. Following the Russian invasion, more than half of the children are unaccompanied minors. The 2-day journey, which concluded when the children landed in Dublin Airport on Tuesday morning, was organised by Castlebar-based charity Candle of Grace. Never heard of them. There seems to be a charity. How many NGOs? I think we had nearly an NGO for every person, every citizen of the Republic of Ireland. The thing is just an absolute joke. We have these things springing up left, right and centre. Nobody knows what half of them do. Nobody knows who's even in half of them. Anyway, look, I'm not ragging on this charity. They probably do good work. I'm sure they do good work. But, anyway, look, Candle of Grace, based in County Mayo, small charity. Nobody's ever heard of them. The organisation has been supporting Ukrainian refugees since the Russian invasion in February. Got that. The charity's founder, Lily Luzan, who was born in a part of Belarus affected by the fallout from the Chernobyl nuclear plant disaster, said the organisation planned to support the children for at least an initial 3-month period. Okay, right, let's read on. Quote, if the war is over, they will go back home. If the war is not over, we will be asking the government to help us look after them as long as needed, she said. All right. So, look, I guarantee you most of them won't go back. Miss Luzan, who's Belarusian, by the way, she's not Irish. Miss Luzan, I'm not saying that's nothing against her now, but she's now kind of taken on this mantle of bringing people into Ireland, with, it seems to me on the face of it, no great real plan as to how it's all going to pan out. You see, this is where I run into the weeds here. Let's try and delve a little further and see if we can pick a bit more out of this. She said, Miss Luzan said she had been concerned for the health of the children who lived in the area surrounding the nuclear plant. She feared shelling and other military activity from Russian forces had led to increased radiation levels. She feared. Okay, so she feared. So, do we any stats on this? No, not really. Doesn't really matter. The main thing is it's virtuous. That's the main thing. In the early weeks of the war, the charity sent several vans of humanitarian aid. Good. I like that. That's a good plan. Which Ms. Luzan said was a, quote, a drop in the ocean of what was needed. I get that too. It has also been involved in placing Ukrainian refugees coming here with host families, she said. On Tuesday, the charity flew 91 children to Dublin from Poland on a flight subsidised by Ryanair. So she must have got on to Ryanair or Michael O'Leary or whoever, and they ponied up some sort of a cut price deal. Or maybe they didn't charge them at all, I don't know. So she did a deal with Ryanair to book this plane or get this flight from Poland. It could have been one of their normal flights, but she said, look, can you give me 91 or 100 places on one of your flights? And they said, well, fair enough, okay. While the parents of some of the children also made the journey, 59 out of the 91 were unaccompanied minors, just kids. Just young kids. Miss Luzan said there was a long delay passing through immigration after the plane landed in Dublin, as the charity had not notified TUSLA, the state's child and family agency, of the arrival of the unaccompanied minors beforehand. Now, you see, this is my point. This is the nub of my issue with this. I don't have any issue with helping people. I certainly don't have any issue with helping kids who are in need and who are in dire straits. I don't. I really don't. But as I go back to my initial point, we need to have somebody making cool decisions, making some rational decisions. You've heard it there, you've read it there. I've read it there and you've listened. Well, if you're still here. This, charity that nobody's ever heard of in the middle of nowhere. Okay, Mayo is not in the middle of nowhere, but it's kind of out there. It's, it's out there. they took it upon themselves, this Miss Luzanne, this Belarusian woman, to just put the whole thing together. Oh, we're going to do it. Sounds great. We're doing great work. We're doing the best we can for these people, and everybody's on board with that. Don't get me wrong. We're just going to put the whole thing together, get onto Ryanair, get, round up these children. Don't know how they found them, but I'm sure it's not that hard. And they put them all in a plane. They flew them to Ireland. Except they didn't tell anybody. They just did it. They just did it. Like, rules? What rules? Notification to state agencies, people who's going to take care of these kids. You can't just be rounding up bands of kids and flying them all around the world. You can't do that. You can't do that. Has anybody heard of people trafficking? Has anybody heard of kid trafficking? I mean, this is a brutal world, and some horrendously bad stuff happens. I'm not saying this is a case in point, but you can't just take it on yourself to just do stuff like this. A plane lands in Dublin Airport. Suddenly all these kids get off, and I'm sure there was some lad in the kiosk, the passport lad, thinking to himself, whoa, what, excuse me. And I guarantee you none of them had passports, none of them had papers. And then either this Ms. Luzanne woman or one of her friends or helpers or fellow charity workers then steps up and says, hello, we're bringing all these kids in from Ukraine. How are you? Let's go. What? Do you see what I mean? This is where I have the problem. This is where I have my odds with this, because whilst it's a great idea, they just went and did it. Didn't give a rat's about rules, regulations, who's going to take care of them, the dangers involved, notifying the proper authorities, getting any possible shred of paperwork ready. No, let's just do it. Yeah. Who cares? We're doing good work. What do you want? Like, what do you mean we need paperwork? What do you mean there's rules? No, it's no rules. No, we're virtuous. Therefore, rules don't apply to us. And how dare you even ask? So essentially, now the state has just had all these young accompanied children arrive out of nowhere with no notification, and suddenly there's a big scramble at the airport. Because if you know anything about Tusla, and I know a little bit, don't know a lot, but I know the basics. I know Tusla is absolutely understaffed, underfunded, is under constant pressure for our own children and the stuff that's going on here. This woman, this charity, just decided, look, it'll be grand. Yeah. Oh, Tusla, yeah, they'll sort it out. See, they do these virtuous things, and then if everybody else has to sort it out, everybody else has to put it together. They don't care because they go home and they think, oh, I've done some really virtuous work today, and they have. Don't get me wrong, they have, but they've just, instead of maybe a different solution could be found to help these children, possibly over there, possibly in a different part of Ukraine. No, fly them straight to Ireland. Get them on a plane and fly them straight to Ireland. This is where I run up against the brick wall here. Anyway, sorry, I've gone off on a tangent there, but these things do annoy me because it's just happening all the time now. It's just happening all the time, and nobody calls it out, because if you call it out, you're a bad person. And look at me, I'm after, I'm probably going to I'm going to burn in hell for this. A spokeswoman for Tusla, let's read on here, said its staff in the airport's Ukraine Crisis Response Centre, so they probably have a couple of people out there, just, in case somebody shows up. They weren't expecting 90 kids. Appropriately and as quickly as possible. So they they were deluged. So what are they going to say? We did our best. All right, we did our best. They had no choice. They were there now. Can't send them back. Following the arrival of the group, buses were arranged to take the families and children from Dublin to 2 County Mayo hotels, after which they might be placed. Might. Nobody's thought this through. There's no plan. This Miss Luzanne, her whole thing was just round them up, get on to Ryanair. Ryanair, okay, we want to do our bit, so we'll give you some space, and just let's get them to Ireland. We'll let everybody else can figure it out then. Everybody else, it's their problem then. We've done our bit. You see? I know, I'm a bad person for even pointing this out. I'm a bad person. There you go. Sorry. I'll try to do better in you. I'll go to confession. Right. So essentially, right, they're hoping. They have no plan. They're hoping maybe they can fan them out. Maybe people will take them. Maybe people can help them. And maybe they will. And I hope they will. They're here now. They should be helped. Quote, says Miss Luzanne, "We're not paid money. Volunteers are not going to be paid money. Host families are not getting paid money. If you're not doing this from the heart, stay home," she said. Yeah, said the virtuous person who just basically did a thing, told no one, and just said, "Look, I'm the virtuous person here. Don't anybody criticise me. You know, don't anybody possibly come at me and say, listen, we might have been able to do this a better way, in a more structured way, in a more planned way, and got the same result or a better result. Don't say that, because she's virtuous." The charity plans to hold events to help the children and families socialise and settle in County Mayo, as well as running English language lessons. Miss Luzanne said the organisation was hoping to facilitate the travel to Ireland of a further 100 children she described as orphans. Everything has to be done properly. Hold on, a bit late for that, Ms. Luzanne. Everything, she says, has to be done properly. We need to have all the papers from the Ukrainian state that these children without parents are allowed to leave the country and come here, she said. Meanwhile, she's just done the exact opposite. And it seems from reading the article, she's done none of that. Absolutely none. I'll just hop on over here quickly to, it's the same story, so a lot of this is going to be the same. This is from Gript. Right, and there's 91 children, 59 were unaccompanied. Do you know how much work and regulations is involved in taking care of an unaccompanied minor? I mean, it's it should be that way, because kids are the most vulnerable people in society. We've got to. I mean, you can't, spare anything in their welfare and well-being and taking care of them. And this one was just basically foisted them all in and said, "Look, there you go. No, I didn't bother telling anybody. We just showed up. We just got a flight and flew in. There you go." Yeah, so okay, look, we're not going to rehash all of this. Grace, Candle of Grace, which is run by Belarusian woman Lily Luzanne, had failed to inform on Garda Síochána. Didn't tell the guards, didn't tell the authorities, or Tusla, that's the child, they didn't tell them either, of their plan to bring the 91 money. No, they didn't tell them because they were afraid they'd be said, "Listen, no, don't. We'll do the different. Don't do that." That's why they didn't tell them. That's exactly why they didn't tell them. In a report aired on prime time last night, Mayo County Council gave assurances that they had been made aware of the plan, although they did not pass the information on to any other state body. No. Fun fact, or in my opinion, it's not a fact, in my opinion, no, they didn't. They're trying to save face now. Everybody's trying to cover their arse and not make this look like the shit show that it really is. So Mayo County Council saying, we were aware of it. We just didn't think to tell anybody. No, I guarantee you, if they were aware of it, they'd have told everybody, because they have to. They can't not. They can't just keep it to themselves. No, if they were aware of it, then Tusla would have known, and the guards, the police would have known. They would have known. I'm telling you, they would have known. So they didn't know. Although Luzanne claims to have obtained consent from the children's parents, the move has raised eyebrows. You see my eyebrows raised? Yeah, and a lot more than me. As separating children from their parents is not something that is seen as positive by international aid agencies such as the UNHCR, whose 20-page document of guidelines for unaccompanied minors crossing borders shows that it's no simple matter. I know, it is no simple, to any rational, logical, normal human being, it isn't. It's the absolute last resort. Separating minors, children from their parents is the last resort. Now this Ms. Luzanne seems to, she's got far better ideas and plans than us normal people and the UNHCR. She knows better. She's got it all figured out, except she has nothing figured out. It's all ad hoc now. Everybody's got to scramble and figure this out because I've done it. You see the problem I have here with this? I know I'm ranting, but these things annoy me because there's nobody calls this out. Look, Mayo County Council trying to cover the arse. The TUSLA said, listen, we did our best. We kind of didn't know this was coming, didn't know it was happening, but we did. Everybody's scrambling because nobody wants to be seen as the person who'll criticise this virtuous people. And don't get me wrong, we need virtuous people, but come on, have at least a plan. Right, speaking on prime time, UNHCR spokesperson Jodie Clark criticised the move, saying that when children cross borders, they are at high risk of abuse and exploitation. Well, tell Ms. Luzanne, because she seems to have figured all this out. At least she did in her head. But that's the only place it was figured out. It was figured out nowhere else. The UNHCR always, he goes on to say, always emphasises the importance of family unity. He said, adding, children are always better protected when they're with their family. Well, over 50 of them arrived with no family. The UN Refugee Agency released a statement saying that separating children from their families when fleeing conflict should always be a last resort. I said that. The plight of unaccompanied minors is made all the more clear by a shocking report released by TUSLA last year after a Freedom of Information request showing that there were 360 incidents of children going missing from state care in 2021. Now that's speaking directly to the point I just made about TUSLA, the children's agency, the government children's agency, being under extreme pressure, as it is now, before the Ukraine crisis, just trying to keep their thing under control. As it was. Now this woman's out saying, no, listen, you're having enough problems, TUSLA. Here's a few more. Here's 50 something more problems for you. I'll leave it with you. She's gone home. She's gone home having done great work. Feeling great about herself. Almost half of these were in private residential centres. Figures showed that the longest period the child was unaccounted for was 3 weeks. Just bunked off for 3 weeks, didn't know where they were. Ironically, parents face being reported to TUSLA, get this, by schools who are legally obliged to do so if a child misses more than 20 days of school. Yeah, if your child misses more than 20 days from school, the busies will turn up and you could lose your kid. Yeah, it might take him away. That's how strict it is. Miss Luzanne justified her actions, because these people always do, by expressing concern for the safety of the children, saying that military activity from the current conflict could make their home region. Okay, so she thinks it's going to make them more so she decided, listen, I've looked at this now, and I'm a geopolitical expert, and I'm a military expert, and I'm a radiation expert, and I've made the unilateral decision that there's danger here, and I'm going to fix it. And she did. She did it all. I don't know, her and whoever's closer, or maybe it was just her. She put the whole thing together. Well, she's the only one mentioned. So, look, we kind of get where this whole thing is going. In an interview published in the Irish Times, we read that she said it was the intention to bring another 100 kids in, so she's not finished. Miss Luzanne moved to Ireland some years ago with her husband Mikhail and daughter Paulina. She also has an Irish-born son named Nikolai. So I don't know if she's an Irish citizen now. Maybe she is, maybe she isn't. But she's basically she's come to our shores and she's very welcome. And I don't know under what circumstances. I'm sure it's all legit. But now she's basically taken it on ourselves to just go off on solo runs. Just, because she's I'm not saying she's a bad person, she's a good person, and she's a virtuous person, but she just thinks that's all you need. That's all you need. Once you're good and virtuous, you can do whatever you like. Any repercussions, any ramifications, cause any amount of problems for both the children and, at the far end, the Irish authorities. She decided this is what she's going to do. She just cut through everything and did it. Now, some people will say, listen, you're an awful person for even calling this out. You're an awful person for even criticising this saintly woman. And maybe I am the bad person. Maybe I'm the guy who's the, you know, the person to rain on everybody's parade, and the person to kind of call out stuff and just basically be a downer. All right, but look, I'm just saying there's a million ways we can solve these problems, and they are problems, and they're serious problems, and they have to be tackled, and we should do everything we can to tackle them. Yes, I'm right with you there. But somebody has to think of this logically. Somebody has to think, okay, we've got this set of problems, we only have limited resources. What is the best way we can get to the solution? What's the best way? Instead of just running in chaotic, sporadic directions, going off on all kinds of random, chaotic solo runs like this woman seems to have done, and she's now caused all kinds of complications. Everybody at the far end, which is here, is scrambling, and it's not like we don't have enough problems as it is. I can assure you, the way things are at the moment, we've plenty, but she's just decided, no, you don't have enough. You don't have enough problems. Here's a few more. And nobody's calling it out. Nobody's calling it out. All I'm saying is, listen, we do want to help, and we should help. But let's please pick the safest, sanest, and most logical way to do it.